let's come back to our lesson, The Rat Trap. Till now, we have read that our rat trap peddler had stolen the money of the crofter, and when he went to Ramsajo Iron Works, he was caught by the iron master, who thought that he was his old comrade. Iron Master wanted to take the rat trap peddler to his home and he wanted that he should celebrate Christmas with him. We are going to begin with a beautiful thought today, children. The crown and the glory of life is character. When wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. When character is lost, everything is lost. So let's begin our story from where we had done day before yesterday. It was not more than half an hour before they heard the sound of a carriage wheels outside the forge, and a new guest came in. But this time it was not the iron master. He had sent his daughter, apparently hoping that she would have better powers of persuasion than he himself. Children, Iron Master was thinking that his daughter, being a female, has more powers of persuasion and she could plead the rat trap peddler to come to their house. Usually, it is thought all over the world that female have more powers of persuasion in comparison to male. And because of this reason only, you must have seen that most of the receptionists, they are women. She entered followed by a valet. Valet is an attendant, children, carrying on his arm a big fur coat. She was not at all pretty, but seemed modest and quite shy. In the forge, everything was just as it had been earlier in the evening. The master blacksmith and his apprentice attendant still sat on their bench, and iron and charcoal still glowed in the furnace. The stranger had stretched himself out on the floor and lay with a piece of pig iron under his head and his hat pulled down over his eyes. So, children, as soon as the young girl caught sight of him, she went up and lifted his hat. The man was evidently used to sleeping with one eye open. As he was a thief, he jumped up abruptly and seemed to be quite frightened. Imagine, children, the man in his dreams was relaxing, and the young girl came closer to him and lifted the hat. Evidently, it is clear that he got frightened. My name is Edla Wilmanson, said the young girl. My father came home and said that you wanted to sleep here in the forge tonight, and then I asked permission to come and bring you home to us. I am so sorry, Captain, that you are having such a hard time. So Edla cleared the reason of her coming to the forge. She looked at him compassionately with her heavy eyes, and then she noticed that the man was afraid. Either he has stolen something or else he has escaped from jail, she thought. Now, children, Jane Austen has said that all the power of a man resides in his eyes, means no man can hide anything from anybody as the thing is visible in his eyes. And all the power of a woman resides in her tongue. So, what did she said? She added quickly, you may be sure, Captain, that you will be allowed to leave us just as freely as you came. Only please stay with us over Christmas Eve. Now here lies the difference between Edla and Crofter. Now Crofter could not understand this man. She, though, looked into his eyes and found that it might be possible that he is a thief. Still, she persuaded the man to visit to their house for celebration of Christmas. She said this in such a friendly manner that the rat trap peddler must have felt confidence in her. It would never have occurred to me that you would bother with me yourself, miss, he said. I will come at once. And so now our peddler is ready to go along with Edla. He accepted the fur coat according to the English decency, which the valet handed him with a deep bow, threw it over his rags, and followed the young lady out to the carriage, without granting the astonished blacksmith so much as a glance. Now, see the difference, children. When he entered inside the forge, then blacksmith did not notice him or give a glance on him, and now, when he is going, he is not glancing upon them. But while he was riding up to the manor house, he had evil forebodings. Forebodings, ideas. So when he was going back to the manor house, evil thoughts came to his mind. This question has been asked several times in the examination, children. What thoughts he was having in his mind. So he was not thinking of doing something evil. Now let's see what he was thinking about. Why the devil did I take that fellow's money? He thought. Now I am sitting in the trap and will never get out of it. It is true, children. If he would have not stolen the money of the crofter, he would have not gone to the woods. If he would have not gone to the forest, then he would have not reached the Ramsajo Iron Works. If he would have not reached the Ramsajo Iron Works, he would have not met the Iron Master and now his daughter. So now he felt that he was trapped. The next day was Christmas Eve, and when the Iron Master came into the dining room for breakfast, he probably thought with satisfaction of his old regimental comrade whom he had run across so unexpectedly. So very positive, the Iron Master was thinking about his comrade. He thought that he is going to help him out with at least the basic amenities and then the extra amenities. First of all, we must see to it that he gets a little flesh on his bones, he said to his daughter, who was busy at the table. And then we must see that he gets something else to do than to run around country selling rat traps. So children, here the Iron Master decides that first, as his comrade is a malnutritioned one, so they are going to provide him enough food so that he becomes a little fat. The daughter was preparing for the breakfast, and then he thought that he is going to ask for a good job, a respectable job for his comrade instead of selling the rat traps. It is clear that things have gone downhill with him. As badly as that, said the daughter. Last night I did not think there was anything about him to show that he had once been an educated man. See the irony, children, as if she has understood. She has felt that this man is not an educated one, or whatever his father was thinking of, whatever her father was thinking of. You must have patience, my little girl, said the father. As soon as he gets clean and dressed up, you will see something different. Now, here again, irony is there, children. We know that our peddler is not the comrade of Iron Master. Last night he was naturally embarrassed. The tramp manners will fall away from him with the tramp clothes. Underline this, children. This is very, very important. We will see whether the tramp manners will go away when he will leave the clothes of the tramp or not. Just as he said this, the door opened and the stranger entered. Yes, now he was truly clean and well dressed. The valet had bathed him, cut his hair, and shaved him. Moreover, he was dressed in a good looking suit of clothes which belonged to the Iron Master. He wore a white shirt and a starched collar and whole shoes. So he was looking like a perfect gentleman. But although his guest was now so well groomed, the Iron Master did not seem pleased. He looked at him with puckered brow. He was tensed when he looked at him, and it was easy to understand that when he had seen the strange fellow in the uncertain reflection from the furnace, he might have made a mistake. But that now when he stood there in the broad daylight, it was impossible to mistake him for an old acquaintance. So Now the iron master understood that he was not the comrade of him, old comrade of him, and this man is somebody else. What does this mean? He thundered, he shouted at the man. The stranger made no attempt to dissimulate. Now he did not want to change the idea of the iron master, as he saw at once that the splendor had come to an end. Our peddler understood that magnificence, whatever he had received till now, that is all over now. It is not my fault, sir, he said. I never pretended to be anything but a poor trader, and I pleaded and begged to be allowed to stay in the forge. But no harm has been done. At worst, I can put on my rags again and go away. Well, said the iron master, hesitating a little. It was not quite honest either. Yes, he was speaking truth. Iron master is true in saying, because when he asked him, when the peddler understood that this was the man who was thinking wrong about him, he could have cleared the idea, but he never, because that time, you remember, he was allured by the money of the iron master. He was tempted to get some financial help from him. So you must admit that, and I should not be surprised if the sheriff would like to have something to say in the matter. The tramp took a step forward and struck the table with his fist. Now I'm going to tell you, Mr. Iron Master, how things are, he said. This whole world is nothing but a big rat trap. All the good things that are offered to you are nothing but cheese rinds and bits of pork set out to drag a poor fellow into trouble. So now the peddler has started his philosophy, his comparison of the world and the rat trap, as if the iron master has anything to do with that. We all of us know that iron master has nothing to do with that. He was not bothered to listen whatever he was speaking. And if the sheriff comes home and locks me up for this, then you, Mr. Iron Master, must remember that a day may come when you yourself may want to get a big piece of pork, and then you will get caught in the trap. The Iron Master began to laugh. This was not so badly said, my good fellow. Perhaps we should let the sheriff alone on Christmas Eve. But now get out of here as fast as you can. So, children, here Iron Master knew that somewhere or the other he was right. Peddler was right in saying that it might be that next day he is also allured, some other good day he is also allured, he is also tempted to get something, and then he is also trapped like the peddler. Till here, children, we are going to do the lesson today.